A warm welcome to you all viewers viewing us out there. Welcome to this special program where we're going to be discussing the proceedings for this year concerning the International Museums Day. If you didn't know, museums are that important that the world has allocated a day specific for museums. Have you been to a museum before? Do you know what happens in museums? Perhaps you might know because you have been at school and the school goes to museums, but it's a big deal, especially for Uganda's tourism product proposition. And I can give you some tips, some statistics of how the world takes museums. For example, global museum numbers as 2024 were 176 million visitors. It used to be 230 million before the pandemic, but the pandemic slowed down things. But today, it's about 176 and increasing. In some countries, museums are a big deal. And I know some of you are enthusiasts of museums. Therefore, we're going to discuss this today on the proceedings of marking and remembering the importance and significance of museums. In the case of Uganda, the numbers are just over 131,000 visitors as for 2024. Over 131 visitors, 131,000 visitors coming to museums. And this is also a surge, or if you can call it a recovery, in terms of visitors to the museums, as again the pandemic had an impact on visitors to the museums. I remember as a young person, I went to the Uganda Museum, and as an older person, I've visited other private museums. And today we are going to be discussing also concerning private museums you may not have known about, but also, of course, the government's plan in terms of museums. And we will explore around the theme, which is the theme for this year, the future of museums in a rapidly changing communities. Let me say that again, the future of museums in rapidly changing communities. Indeed, communities are changing, dynamics are changing, we have technology, and so on. And therefore, for me, I can appreciate the theme of the future of museums in a rapidly changing communities. And my guests this morning, I'll start from my immediate left. We have Miss Jacqueline Besigye Nyirakiza, Assistant Commissioner in the Acting Commissioner in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Madam, welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Very good. And on her right, on her left actually, is my old friend, Patriot Sempewa. I will not complain about what we know about the other name, but Patriot Sempewa for today, who is a heritage connoisseur. I hope I get that word right, John.
That's correct.
Patriot. Can I call you John or Patriot?
Patriot. John means something else.
Okay. We'll keep it Patriot.
Sure.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Setumba.
All right.
It's been years since I last saw you.
I know.
And good morning, viewers of NTV.
And I know your passion for museums. Let's go to the discussion now. Let's start with the commissioner. Paint for us a picture, madam, on how museums stand. The museum, let me say, proposition for Uganda from where you sit, because I know this belongs to your ministry. How are we doing? Private, public, etc.
Thank you, Sam. Once again, good morning, viewers. I'm a commissioner for museums and monuments, and I would want to inform the public that museums in Uganda have come from since 1908. This is when we had the first national museum and the first one in East Africa.
Okay.
Because Uganda in East Africa was the first to have a museum, followed by Kenya, then Tanzania. And so since then, of course, in 1940s, then it was at Fort Lugard, then Makerere, then at its current home at Uganda Museum, and then we have different laws that came in to govern museums.
Okay.
And then, of course, the challenges that came in 1960s and 70s. But thanks to the government of Uganda, currently we are seeing a focus now on museums, because in the last 5 years, or if I talk about NDP3, which we are implementing and soon starting NDP4, we see that during the NDP3 we have seen some change in terms of funding for museums, in terms of research. And also, of course, we have the act that came in 2023, and currently we are working on our guidelines, which the minister will soon sign off. But in terms of how have museums grown, of course, we have had the first private museum was the one of Igongo, then followed by one of Great Lakes, and then Mr. Sempe Wahia, I think, was the third person to develop a private museum in Uganda. Whereas for the part of the government, we've had the 3 museums for quite a long time. This is the National Museum, which is the main, the Soroti Regional Museum, and the Kabade, but which did not have, homes. It's now in 2024 that the Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Arupo, opened the one for Soroti last year during the, the celebrations like this. And then this year we are now again fully going to open on 18th morning hours. We shall start with opening the Kabade Regional Museum. And so for now, the ones which are going to be operating are 3. But we are looking at Moroto Museum, which is going to be focusing on the Karamojong, the wide scope of the Karamojong.
And I know there is heritage there, seriously.
Yes, I want to tell you that we acquired, as Ministry of Tourism, 2008 objects from a private collector in Kenya, and these objects had left Karamoja at a time. Idi Amin asked the Karamojongs to denounce their own culture, and then some of them were burnt. There is a monument at Iriri in Napak. There is a monument of 360 people who were buried there or burnt. And then at that time there is a white who collected different spacious objects that have been in Kenya since then. Wow. And so those are some of the objects that we are going to put in Moroto. But again, our heritage does not talk about only ethnographic or art, but also talks about it's a wide scope. We talk about landscapes. For example, within the landscape of Karamoja, we know that once there were gorillas, there were rhinos, there were different type of animal species, of which Uganda Museum have conserved in a fossil form. And so we have worked with different researchers from France, from America, from Africa, to discover what was it, and to recreate, to reconstruct the environment. What was it then? And of course, what does this help us? It helps us to understand the past, then get to know the present in terms of environment, and then they should shape the future. What could have caused desertification at that stage in Moroto if we knew that they were Napak was once forested, because we have fossil wood in Napak. And by the way, Napak, we plan to put an open air museum in Napak. When we get funding, maybe next financial year, we are going to start the construction. We have the bills of quantities and the design. We want to put an open air museum whereby now you can find the artifacts in situ. Because like recently, 2 years ago, we got a species that is kind of a rhinoceros as well. And then, of course, we have different monkeys and other species from Moroto, different parts of Moroto, like Kalupa. We got things there in Napak. So we want to create space where a person like Mr. John Sempewa can take his students and study on site and understand the fossil. And of course, that means they will also talk about climate change. And so we shall be also working with UWA, because the opposite side is Pian Upe, where we even have rock art. We have rock art.
I've seen the rock art in Pianupe.
In Pianupe, we have rock art in Matheniko. If you have seen one of my first books, which we published in 2019 about rock art in the Lake Victoria region, we documented rock art in Pianupe in 2010. And so coming down, of course, I would say we have also, government has invested in creating interpretation centers. So we have one at Nyero. So now when you go to Nyero, we have even improved and put exhibitions to talk about what type of artifacts were used, like the stone tools, which are about 5,000 years old. Of course, looking at the late Stone Age. And so coming back to Western region or Central, we have worked with Buganda Kingdom very closely in putting back the Kasubi tombs on the World Heritage List, because I represent my peers.
Are the tombs a museum?
It's a museum.
Oh, very interesting. Museum.
Yes, it's a museum. Kasubi Tombs is a museum, and we fully do the conservation part, because now Buganda works on the intangible, then we do the tangible. And so we have a close relationship. Even Wamala Tombs and all that, we are working closely with BHTB. But as side of government, what do we do? For example, we have fully restored the artifacts that were burned. So that one, it is the government money that worked on that. But we are also going to have a museum in Fort Portal. It's also in the plan. We have a plan of developing a museum in Arua, and going also to site museums. In August, we expect to open Mugaba Palace.
Where is that?
Mugaba Palace is in Mbarara. And so here we are going to, of course, when we open Mugaba Palace, we are putting, or we are going to exhibit the traditional Ankole regalia, as well as looking at artifacts which people of Ankole and other Ugandans have not seen when they were confiscated in the 1967 abolition of the kingship. And so some of those artifacts which we have kept at the museum are going to be taken to Ankole. And it is one way of reparations. When we talk about reparations, it's not all about giving back. It's also taking back these things so that they can be appreciated by the local communities, and their children and future generations can learn from them. Going to private museums, I can say that we have seen many come up in the last few years, and we have worked with them in the formulation of the regulations. We had meetings this year, and we hope to work together, and more will come. And we know that it's going to be a smooth transition, trajectory as we come from, where we are coming from to where we are going, where we want to see culture heritage as one of the key components of tourism that will bring more tourists and also contribute to the foreign earnings of this country.
And we'll come later to the point of presentation. John, rather patriot, you keep forgiving me, I have to adjust after all these years.
And I will not forget to remind you.
The theme for this year is the future of museums in rapidly changing communities. You are a private museum operator and creator. What challenges are museums facing, and since they're rapidly changing communities, what changes are happening, and let me say challenging or making the work of having a museum not the usual business, not the old reference of just keeping artifacts? What's your experience?
First of all, Sam, the sun is shining. If you're following what is happening in Traore's country, Africans are waking up. Africans all over Africa, what is happening now is we are waking up finally to realize what the damage that was done to us over time. Now, I'm talking to the person on the street. We were lied to in school. We were told very wrong history. Secondly, we were denied information. If you look at the history you learned in school, They told you about slave trade, about colonization, things that dispirit you. And they left out things which are supposed to make you walk and fly. Ugandans don't know, for example, that the first person to walk on water was a Ugandan.
I didn't know that.
They don't know that there is only one human being that has flown without gadgets. Batman and Superman are nothing. So this inspirational information has been left out of the curriculum. So all that you know is negative stuff. And this negative stuff is on our streets. This street where we are used to be called Speak Something. I walked down from the road, I saw a road called Huntington. Huntington is a person we killed in Busoga. He did nothing for us at all. So all the negativity is on our streets instead of the positive stuff. So what is changing now is we must recommend the Ministry of Education. They have changed the school curriculum. There is a new curriculum being taught in our secondary schools now. Students, this morning, they had students from Naria SS. A student asked me on the side, but how come we know only the negative side? And when we come to you, you're telling us the good stuff. Why is it left out? So the moment people start asking questions, now we museums are going to change. We're going to change. We already have the stories that inspire you. If you've been following the news, myself and the senior lawyer in Kampala, Makubuya, we sued KCCA to remove these old colonial names from our streets. Now, this is the new role of museums. We do not wait for you to come to us. We come out and advocate for changing things that influence you. There are things, there is behavior. Ugandans are taking on behavior simply because they do not know their history. Bleaching skins. I mean, that shows that in your mind, you'll want to be like somebody else. We must talk to you to liberate you. People who are going into same-sex relationships, that is not African at all. Whether we have a law or not, now we are going to come and educate you that your father was not gay, neither was your grandfather, neither was Kabaka Mwanga. All this has been written to kind of demean us. So to answer your question, what is our new role? One, to bring in information which kind of inspires. Some of the information we have, Ugandans have, we were told that our heroes are satanic.
Oh.
Yes. Now, I'm going to give you an example. You have never heard of anybody called Musisi.
I've heard of Musisi.
Musisi was an expert in tectonics. He could predict that that place there is going to have an earthquake. Now, his equivalent, if you go to Greece, is Poseidon.
I know Poseidon.
Now, Poseidon's temple has been preserved. Okay? Musisi's shrine at Fumvu, there are rats and snakes moving all over the place. But I am happy that she...
Yeah, the commissioner is here.
Trust me, I'm happy with them. They have listed these places. Now, let me give you some mathematics. Poseidon's temple gets 200,000 visitors a year. And most of these are Greeks. You don't even need foreigners. Each of them is paying about 40,000 shillings. That is 8 billion shillings
annually
from one place. Now, in Uganda, we have over 300 of such places. For Ugandans who don't know, life started here in Uganda. I think she will tell you about Morotopithecus. These people have a lot of information, which if Morotopithecus had been in Nigeria, all of their movies would be about Morotopithecus. But Chameleon has not sung a song about Morotopithecus.
He doesn't know.
Nobody knows about Morotopithecus. People know Zinjanthropus, who is a baby to Morotopithecus. So our first task is to tell you the things you do not know about your country. And I'm happy that she invited me. I wouldn't have afforded to be here. This is a good avenue to tell Ugandans that what you know is wrong. You have been denied information. You need to go on your phone. If you don't want to come to our museums, get on your phone. It is very expensive to be ignorant right now when all the information is right here. So we are, one, bring out the new information. That is why we are doing, we not only wait for you to come to us, we do outreach museum shows in Soroti. Next time I'm going to Bukedia, name it, I'm coming to show these kids that, hey, not all of our history is negative. We have a lot of positive history. We have heroes I could list 100 of them. Now, apart from that, we want to tell our stories to the whole world.
Okay.
One thing I missed, there's a movie about Poseidon, where there's Jack Sparrows. Now, Poseidon has been tangibilized. Okay, let me give you the most common example of Thor,
yes,
with his hammer.
Yeah.
Now, a movie like Thor or a movie like Poseidon can fetch about 600 billion shillings. And we have movie makers in Uganda. What movies, Bambi, are they producing? Love, very shallow things. You must give credit to people like Matt Bish. He produced a movie the other day about Janan. Now, these are the people that should be supported to tell these stories afresh. So we are telling stories not only from the museums, but through outreaches, and two, going forward, we are going online.
Okay.
The world has 8 billion humans. They will never, even 1% of them will never come to Uganda.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. Not only the outsiders, but even us, Uganda. How many people are going to drive? 48 million
Ugandans. Every year at my museum, I'm getting how many? 20,000, 10,000. Ugandans will never come to me. But the average Ugandan has a phone.
Absolutely.
Right now, if you look at my TikTok line, which I started a few days ago, called Semagulu Museum, every day there are 1,000 people coming on. They want to know the meaning of their names. People are hungry for information which was left out of the syllabus. And that is what we're going to provide using the most flexible means. If you don't come to me, you'll get my information on TikTok. If you don't go to TikTok, I am going to put an online method where, for example, you want to know Ndahura, the guy who discovered the medicine for smallpox 800 years ago, everything is going to be there. So you'll have to pay me only about 1K. You log in, and while I'm sleeping in my bed, I am providing information and we are educating people. It's not just the average Ugandan who is misinformed. Our leaders, unfortunately, are the most misinformed about the history of our country. And with due respect to the priests, you are also misinformed by the Caucasian white writers who came and told you lies of how Kabaka Mwanga was gay. Kabaka Mwanga couldn't have been gay. The guy had 17 wives. That story of him being gay is from Apollo Kagwa, and Apollo Kagwa claimed that Mwanga sodomized him. But when you read about Apollo Kagwa, he had smallpox himself. So people who are called who have smallpox, we call them Bisasiro. Now, I want to talk to gay people. When you're gay, don't you have test? Don't you have test? There is evidence that Mwanga wasn't gay. But you'll wait at the June 3rd celebrations, somebody is going to come up and say, oh, Kabaka Mwanga killed the martyrs because he was gay. That is totally not true. So I am Catholic. Churches are good. I'm not against churches. But let us provide accurate information which does not demean Ugandans, and that is what we are doing at our museums. So,
John, I'll come back to you later. Still on the issue of the theme, Madam, John spoke about
Patriot.
Yes. Forgive me. Patriot spoke about the initiative to digitize.
Yeah.
Paint for us a picture from the government standpoint on alternative ways of portraying museums apart from you have to come physically to us. What's the plan in that direction, if any?
Yes. Thank you, Sam. Government has already started the transformation, the digital transformation in museums. Currently, we are digitalizing activities in the museum.
Yeah.
We have a project under SEDEP, that is under World Bank and Government of Uganda to digitalize all museum, like to have an interface with our website, with the URA, with the communications. We have already all the IPPI addresses to do that. So we are doing digital models which we are going to be uploading. And of course, we had one time also funding from the French embassy, and so we have some already virtual tours that we are yet to put online.
I'm really looking forward to virtual tours.
Yes, yes. So we already digitalized the museum as it was before. And so we have all that. But now we have also worked on a catalogue of 400 objects, 200 which are ethnographic, and 200 which are, the extra 200 are archaeology and paleontology. And so we are going to have that catalogue online. So we have a company that was contracted by SEDEP that is working on that, that is helping us in, working on those interfaces, how we can, do different things online, as well as research. For example, our plan is that in the new museum, we shall have walk talks. We shall cater for people with disabilities.
Walk talks means what?
You can be you get a guide. You are in a museum and you have an audiovisual guide that is guiding.
Not a human being.
Not a
pre-recorded.
Okay. Yes. So you keep pressing. Even we want to also invest in another method whereby you can have these small gadgets, and if you are French, you click somewhere and you get an interpreter. So that one is also something that we are going to do. But we are also, in terms of digitalizing, we are also working on 5,000 objects, because currently to be truthful to Ugandans, we know the museum has been collecting since 1903, when then the governor ordered all the district commissioners to collect. But we have never documented all the objects that we have in the museum, both anthropology, archaeology, paleontology, history.
Yes.
Because when we talk about even things like negatives, of recent we have been through the digitalization process or digitizing process. We digitized some of the negatives, and we got some of the music, like of Ruta, those of 1970s, where they used gramophones. So now we have those old ones and new ones which we have acquired, and also partnering with some private prayers. And so we are in that process, and we think that part of it in October, when we hope to open our renovated national museums, that is where we are starting to implement, or so that then after that we can move to other districts with the same technology.
And I'm looking forward to, this is just 1 hour of communication, and we just can't talk about everything else. And I hope that we see more. A quick question before I come back to Patriot. Madam, I'm still with you a little bit. There are people like Makerere University. There are people like some schools. They have things they call museums. They may not be to the scale of his scale, or Igongo. How can I make that thing count? Let me say Makerere University, I know they have something with the kingdom.
Okay,
so how do I make it come alive and become recognized by you? Transforming my small idea in our school, in our university, to something that can nationally matter. How can you help?
Yes, Sam, our act is clear.
Yeah.
We gave descriptions of different museums that are recognized by government. A museum at Makerere is a government institution.
Okay.
And so that one is an institutional museum.
Okay.
Even when they decided to focus on Mutesa or on the royal history. So because now they are, telling, they have history. They are telling us about the history of the kingdom. And so that one, we recognize it as an institutional museum. Okay. The way we have Parliament Museum.
Absolutely. Bank of Uganda.
Bank of Uganda, URA, UPPC. Now, Ministry of ICT has an E. You should be interested in seeing the E Museum of ICT. They have the VR, they have, because they are ICT anyway, so they have started by having an e-museum, showcasing newspapers, showcasing, different kinds of cameras that were there in 1960s. then those things that everything that they have done, they have digitalized their few objects, and they have put them online. So for them, already theirs is a virtual tour. They have, you can do a virtual tour when you do the ICT museum. And so there are other museums that are coming up.
So by law, those ones stay there. They cannot...
And those other ones which are coming, our law is clear, like the districts.
Yes.
Of course, they are registered with us. And so that's why some of them even are part of the ICOM Uganda chapter. And even the district museums are also having another category where a minister also can establish or authorize a district museum. So we have come up with regulations on what these museums should be. And museums, by the way, it's about the theme. If it is not the National Museum, the rest you can look at a theme, what value addition do you want to put up? So all of us, we cannot have
the dominant narrative.
Yes. So they are different. If you go to different parts of Europe or even America or anywhere, you find that there is a museum of war, like a war memorial, like what Ministry of Defense is working on a war memorial museum. You can have a royal museum. Like in Hoima, the Banyoro want to do a museum of their kingdom, history of their kingdom. So it's about the theme, a museum of natural history. If you go to Paris, the Museum of Natural History will have only things to deal with fossils, and that is about animals only. Animals
Commissioner,
and plants.
If Bunyoro, for instance, or Busoga, wants to create a cultural museum, but they want it to have some kind of national bearing or attract national attention, and they come to you, they get through the approval, how do you assist?
Yes, we assist by, of course, helping them in, guiding them in exhibitions. Some of them, for example, like Igongo, I'll give an example of Igongo. When they are establishing their museum, they came to us, we gave them curators, to assist in the flow of the museum at that time. So in technical assistance we give, yes, for now. And then, of course, we are promising all those who are coming, we shall give them licenses. And so we agreed while we had our stakeholder engagement on the type of licenses we are going to be issuing, so that we can do that regulation and quality assurance. And so it's not all about just waking up. What we had seen, some community museums had started making craft shops, and then they would again call them museum. And you find a museum having tagged objects, with money. That is what we don't want to see.
It's not a museum, no.
Yes, that is not a museum, it's a craft shop. So we do not want to see a museum with the tag, a tag showing that this object is $200. In any case, we are working with the immigration. That one should not pass the airport because it is illicit trafficking, and Uganda is ratified with the 1971 illicit trafficking convention. So that one should not cross the border where possible. And that is why even us bringing back our artifacts from Kenya, even when we bought them, when we compensated the family, we say that they be kept at the National Museum until when the government of Kenya will fully hand them over to us. Okay,
very good. John, you're itching to say
Patriot.
Something. Patriot.
Yes.
You're going to forgive me.
the theme, when you're invited, you must obey the rules. The theme was the future. One, apps.
Absolutely.
There are young boys in this country who can develop apps. Talk to us. We are too old. We can't develop these things. But around the theme of people not having to come to us physically, they can access this information. I'm itching to be the first person to do an app which has name meanings. They have the skill. I have the information.
Data.
Now we have to work together. Two, there's a lot of information in government institutions.
Absolutely.
I wrote to the head of prisons that you have a lot of information here. There is a guy in 1954 who was in prison here and he escaped without breaking any lock. That information is here. Why don't we? He wrote back and said, this is not important to us. But I am going to keep on. I talked to my friend Magogo, head of football. Uganda played soccer in Europe without shoes. We even beat Arsenal, I think, 4-0.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. So this is information.
That is the barefoot, actually. We documented that.
50 years from today, we are all going to be dead. Now, if we don't document this information, so I think what she has to do is call all these government institutions and we sensitize them about. The other thing we're doing is consultancy. Because we know history, we see so many wrong things happening. On my way here, I saw a road called Sekabaka Chintu Road. There's no such person called Sekabaka Chintu. We call him Kabaka Chintu for a reason. So we always looking around for things done because you don't have a historian, and we are going to advise you. What are we doing? Movies. There are young people producing movies, and we're trying to give them information so that they do world-class scripts. One day you're going to hear somebody has come to me and has done a museum about a Ugandan king who crossed a river like Moses. I don't know if you've heard of that.
That would be very interesting.
Yes, we have the information. If you want to do a unique movie, come, we provide songs. Walukaga, who is the mayor somewhere, came to me. I gave information about a certain character and he did a song.
Was Wakanda from Uganda? Sorry to divert you. That movie Wakanda, was that image from Kamare?
Wakanda is actually Uganda, but officials made it very expensive for the producers to produce here. So these guys just go under and put work is hard in Uganda. So they put Wakanda means work is hard in Uganda. But yes, trust me, at that time I was a civil servant and I know these things. But Wakanda was all they did is get Lake Bunyonyi and put buildings on it. You can see it.
No, I see the shot. I took the shot myself, and I see the movie, and I'm thinking, this is so similar.
So, civil servants, whoever is coming to do a movie in Uganda, let's make it easier for them. Already we have an all-online e-program for teachers. The books being used are very shallow. They do not have the details of what happened. So for me, whoever comes to my museum, I put you on my e-line program, where I send you videos of what happened, the narratives we give you. So I already have about 200 schools. And trust me, the lessons in the class, they are changing, because every history class for my members starts with a video. Do not tell me about Idi Amin. No. First show me videos on Idi Amin, then bring your notes. That way, it will be easier for me to memorize.
It's a better teaching.
Our kids are not stupid. If you play them this song now, all of you, for example, all of them will dance in a certain way because they have observed. Observation is what we are helping students, schools, to do in teaching. Finally, the new museums are not going to be like our museums. They have to be style-related museums.
Cool.
I went to Dublin when I was a civil servant, and we had gone to learn how to classify hotels. I was bored. I asked a cute Irish girl, apart from this, take me to a game park. Because in my mind, I think game parks is the best tourist attraction. She took me to the Museum of Guinness. Nigerians, Jamaicans, I've never had a wonderful time like I had in that
Guinness,
place.
the drink?
Yes, it has a museum. Then after that, I told her next day, take me to a more serious place. They said, okay, I have another one. She took me to a museum of whiskey, as big as this room. Oh my God, I saw priests, everybody is high. When I came back, I realized to do a museum, you don't need 50 acres.
No.
Your garage can be a museum, as long as you have a unique idea. Youth who are employed, you are young, come and I help you start a museum of alcohol. Ugandans love alcohol. We shall collect and document alcohol from all over Uganda, and trust me, you'll be a millionaire like me. We need museums on music. I have had good news today. She has started compiling museums of the 50s, 60s. Our ancestors have been producing music for years and years. Do not do museums like Uganda Museum now. You cannot compete her with her. She has over 30,000 bones of Simani who change the narrative. and talk about, to give us a museum of journalists.
Think out of the box.
Out of the box, totally. Then you'll smile all the way. Be unique. Don't copy me.
Patriot, I know that when you start talking about ideation, we are going to spend the whole day. Let me just change a little bit. Commissioner, I'm coming back to you, Madam. This year, the activities, we don't want to miss that, and I deliberately put it towards the end so people can take part. Tell us, walk us through about the activities this year of commemorating the World International Day for Museums.
Thank you very much. This year we have had several activities. We began in April. We had, of course, the conference, which was at Africana, the Heritage Conference. And we promised, and the ministry has promised Ugandans, that every year we are going to be having a national conference on heritage, because that is a way of creating awareness. And then we also had a fair that ended yesterday at Emin Pasha, which brought together different private museums to show, even institutional, to showcase the heritage that Uganda has, because it's not their heritage, it's Ugandan heritage. And of course, when I come to heritage, I normally say that heritage is driven also by demand. And you can listen to Mr. Patriot, Mr. Sempebwa, about the demand that is there now is to create and have your own niche. And so we are going to Kabale or to Kigezi region tomorrow on Friday 16th. Starting the Explore Kigezi campaign. We have our Fikfa Maika is part of the team. We have Gorola, who has been an enthusiastic and patriot also, promoting our heritage, our tourism. We have some pastor who will also be singing for us, because on Sunday at night there will be Chivulo in Kabale. And so the 2 days we shall be having Explorer campaigns. We shall take Ugandans to different parts of Kigezi with, different kinds of landscapes. That is Mount around Mugahinga, Mutanda. We have some caves in Mutanda.
I visited them,
where we have the, you can see the nails of a person who was buried about 100 years. I don't want to say 1,000. Because we haven't done the archaeological investigations yet, but we managed to also preserve the site as a Ugandan site. And we shall have the sports gala on Saturday. We have the different universities and other players coming from Kampala to go and compete with those in the Western region. And so in the evening, that's when we are going on Saturday, that's when we have invited elders to come and speak to us, to come and speak to the youth about the values of that, held the communities together, following our theme in the rapid changing communities. How are we adopting to the environment? And so we shall listen to this lady who was also like an outcast, who was, thrown at the island to die. That is the banishment island.
There's one who's alive, eh?
Yes.
That would be very interesting.
And so she's going to give us a testimony to tell us what it was and how she survived. And so we have other old, renowned people who are going to be talking to the people in the night on fire, because now
fireside chat.
Yes, that is on fire. And of course there will be Intudire from Kigezi, the Intudire as well. And so this is one of the things when we are talking about culinary tourism, we can't fail to talk about one of the treasures of Kigezi is Intudire. And so on the day of 18th, we shall start with opening the Kabale Regional Museum. It is on Bunyonyi Rakaraba Road. And so that museum is also exhibiting basically the ethnographic part of what representation of the Kigezi region. But because we know that we have our learners, and we know that we have worked with the Kalichuram Development Center to include objects that are, used for examining them. part of what we are exhibiting again is what is in the education curriculum for secondary and primary. And so even we are collaborating with the Kabale University. Now they have, by the way, a full doctor there of archaeology.
Okay.
So we are collaborating with them to put things whereby the university people can also come and participate and also learn and do their internship. Currently, we also send internships there. And so that one will be opened in the morning at 7, at 8 on Sunday. And then after that, we shall have a march past from Kabale Museum to Kabale Stadium, where we shall have our celebrations. And then in the night, that's when we shall have the Fikfa Maika, Pastor Tim Somebody, and the Gororas, you know, making the people from Kabale very happy. Why are we bringing gospel? Of course, you know, Kigezi region is one of the regions that welcomed, you know, this gospel, where we had the East African revival.
Yes.
And so you can't go to Kigezi and fail to take there a pastor, as well as telling them that, you know, nightlife is not all about, you know, this other secular music, but it is also about Christianity. And with the changing, you know, we have to adapt. Where we know that Christianity came in, of course, we have grown up in it, and we adapted from 1877 when our Christians came in. And so now we cannot change anyway, but to adapt and also give the right information to our public. And really, I thank government for entrusting us with this responsibility. In the next 5 years, we have promised that we are going to do very well, and this Uganda will be changed. And the heritage subsector is going to be one of the leading sectors to bring in tourist and forest and the forex exchange earnings. And
I believe, Commissioner, that for instance, I'm thinking there's going to be action packed in Kigezi this weekend. And I'm thinking, if I don't come, you need to find a way to bring it up to me. There's this thing called streaming and all that. You bring it up to me so that next year I want to come. Maybe that's embracing technology in that regard. Mr. Sembeba, are you going to attend?
Of course, online. I'll be following. I'm a businessman. But from what we've had, what is unique in Kigezi? If you're Muchiga, let me tell you this. You are the only ethnic group that promotes virginity seriously. Have you seen Nyege Nyege? It goes to wherever it goes.
Yeah.
Somebody start a global virginity event somewhere in Kigezi, because I'm sure you'll tell them about Chisizi Falls and what happened. That is what is so unique about Kigezi. I'll be following online.
Okay, right. Very interesting. As we wrap up, the heartbeat here is change. Even when we talk about celebrating this year, and the theme is actually rapidly changing, and that can mean many things.
Yes.
Your parting shots or parting words on this theme and the heartbeat of change to bring heritage and museums to the people, not necessarily people to the museums. If you understand? Yes.
My parting shot is to thank government for thinking like us. You know, before government, you know, I don't want to say what is going on, but the fact that, you know, they are going out to the people.
Yes.
I hope the games going to be competed in will be like Mweso, which was introduced by the Batwezi, many of whom are, the mood at the Uganda Museum is encouraging, and they being our leaders, we can only hope for the best. But the biggest player here is the individual. The individual. Be flexible to accept new information which you may probably have not known. Things like Speak, Discover the Source. We are going to give you information to the contrary. So be flexible and come out to us. If you don't want to come to us, you go find the information online. And the future can only be better. Start museums, come and consult with them, come and consult with us. There's money, more money in museums than importing shirts from China.
There's not enough time for us. I wanted to ask the business question of what does it take to set up a museum, but there's no time. Madam Commissioner, parting your final words as we wind up.
Thank you very much. The parting words, I want to welcome all the Ugandans to come and celebrate with us International Museums Day. And indeed, heritage conservation is the way to go. Understanding our cultures, understanding where we came from and where we are going is the way to go. And I want to encourage Ugandans that indeed we are getting to the digital era. And so you can always follow us online as well. As starting October, all this is going to be in place. And we are ready to partner with all those who wish to start museums, and we shall fully give them support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Jacqueline Besigye Nyirakiza, Acting Commissioner, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, and Mr. Patrick Sempebwa, Heritage Connoisseur. I hope I got that right. And also an operator of a private museum, very passionate about issues of tourism. Viewers, there is a derogative reference to that it belongs to the museum. It's not what it is about. There's a lot of information, meaning, and even purpose in understanding where we're coming from. And there is much that you can use to inspire you. And this is why we're having this discussion today. Go to Kabale if you can, to visit this region this weekend. Have fun as we mark Uganda's heritage. Thank you for joining us, all of you, and goodbye from now.